when one arm or the other, two arms are subservient to the other arm, then it makes democracy very uninteresting. It makes it not what it should be.
But for example, the audience people are going for me. When I became minister, I told them I gave 100 million naira. But today, for example, no problem.
Parliament is so that flexible contact democracy therefore all attempts to make to guide and guard is independent.
People having opportunity, but not making the best use of it.
Our own democracy is African democracy. Let us work together as a family.
We want to look forward to a country where the infrastructure plays and are working and functioning.
It's good to have you join us on another edition of Rumbles on Galaxy Television. My name is Kolawole Akintoba. We have another special guest on today's edition of the program. He is a politician and he is the former Deputy Senate President. It's my pleasure to welcome on today's edition of Rumbles Senator Ibrahim Mantu. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thank you. Senator Mantu, let us start from the PDP.
Right.
That's a point of interest for you. And tell us, let's look at that party. There are a lot of internal wranglings happening in that party. Take us through what you feel is the genesis of this problem.
Well, I can say that the PDP started getting it wrong right from 2003, when the supremacy of the party was transferred to the governors. In the past, when a party wins an election and forms a government at the center, all appointments or all letters asking the party to nominate people for consideration of ministers, as ambassadors, and so on and so forth, the national chairman of the party will write to the state chairman and ask them to send names of prominent people who must have worked so hard for the party for consideration as ministers, for consideration as ambassadors, for consideration as chairman of boards and parastatals, and so on and so forth. And so everybody would like to key into the party's activities, work so hard, so that he or she will be considered for such appointments if the party wins an election. That was what happened during the MPN days. In 1999, when the PDP won an election, that pattern was followed because Chief Solomon Lar, the pioneer chairman of PDP, was in charge. But from 2003, the president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, decided to shift that power that belongs to the party to the governors. Governors send me names of people who I want to appoint as ministers. Governors send me names of people who I want to appoint as ambassadors. Governors send me names of people who I want to appoint as this, and so on and so forth. So politicians who work so hard were now sort of sidelined, marginalized, and governors now started, use that opportunity to nominate their in-laws, their girlfriends, their friends, and so on and so forth. And those who actually work for the party were left in the cooler. So that was how gradually those who worked so hard were gradually being marginalized and, of course, abandoned. And that's why some of the people are saying, Monkey they work, Babu they chop. And it continued like that until it reached its climax in 2015, when eventually, totally, the party was even left completely sidelined from the campaign activities. A kind of some consultants were brought to handle the campaign activities of the party. And of course, those people who have worked all these years for the PDP were not actually carried along. And as a result of that, they said, okay, fine. You can marginalize me, you can abandon me when it comes to party activities. But on the day of voting, I will decide where to vote. You can't force me to vote for you. And so in 2015, PDP defeated PDP. It wasn't that APC was so popular everywhere that it won election, no. It is the disgruntled members of the PDP, people who were angry, aggrieved members of the PDP decided to take their pound of flesh by voting against the PDP because they were ignored, they were marginalized, they were jettisoned. And that is why you are seeing most of these people that are, their names are being mentioned as being given billions to do this, billions to that. You're not seeing prominent politicians involved, you know, because they left those people who could actually make the party win. They left those people who have labored to actually bring the PDP to where it is today. And so that was the genesis of this thing. And I'll tell you, the climax was, you know, what happened in 2015 when PDP defeated PDP. And this kind of, because the people's will was gradually eroded, people would spend the whole day in the sun or in the rain, queuing behind those they want to elect, those they want to represent them. And after they have carried out such an exercise, the names that were forwarded, who must have won election popularly, will now again be cancelled with a stroke of the pen and replaced with some people who have been chosen, handpicked by the powers that be. And then they will just see on television or hear on radio, the so person is their candidate, not the ones that they actually labored to elect. And as a result of that, internal party democracy was totally thrown to the dogs. And the votes no longer counted. And so all this put together made the PDP unpopular. Imposition of candidates, doing things with impunity, without due regard to the wishes of the people, made it a lose election. And this continued. Ali Sharif, for example, was brought to us by some people, two governors from the south. And they said to us, here is the man that they think should be the chairman. They did not consult us at all. And so that was a continuation of the impunity that led to the defeat of PDP in 2015, now continuing to rear its head in 2016 and 2017. And some of us said no. As long as we live, we will not allow this to continue. Yes, we've made mistakes in the past. We've allowed these things to continue in the past, which led us to lose an election. But we will not allow it to continue because the bridge that we cross to bring us to where we are today must be left alive for those who are coming behind us to also cross that bridge. And that is why some of us decided to kick against the imposition of Ali Sharif. I was in the forefront of those people who were opposed to the imposition of Ali Sharif as the national chairman of the PDP because Ali Sharif by this time had just spent about 2 years in the party. And this was a party that has been on for about 17 years to that time. So we now said no. This kind of impunity must stop because we don't want a situation where when the history of this party comes to be written, people will now say when the party was actually being buried, who were there. Right. And prominent names like my own will be there, and they will now be seen on the wrong side of history. I would like a situation where even if I'm dead, people should visit my grave and pray for me, and not to come and say, let you be in the middle of the hell, heat of the hottest part of hellfire.
Right. Well, the PDP imploded before it finally exploded. First of all, didn't the elders of the party see the handwriting on the wall? And secondly, observers believe that if nothing is done very quickly about the problem in the PDP, there might be no party in the next.
Let me tell you this. I think it is wrong for anybody who has been following the PDP crisis to say that didn't the elders of the party see the handwriting on the wall? Yes, we, the elders of the party, saw the handwriting on the wall. That is why we resisted the imposition of Ali Sharif, and which led to organizing a parallel convention here in Abuja. While those people who brought Ali Sharif were organizing a convention in Port Harcourt to formally legalize his imposition, we, the elders of the party, and in fact, I must say, almost the entire BOT members, maybe except a few, went to Port Harcourt. But most of us, in fact, initially, the entire BOT members, without an exception, were opposed to the imposition. But later on, some people decided to go the other side, but majority remained intact. And the elders of the party and other well-meaning members of the party decided to come together and form what we call concerned PDP stakeholders. And these concerned PDP stakeholders were the ones that organized a parallel convention in Abuja here, which led to the scuttling of the Port Harcourt Convention. So we did our best because we wanted to tell the whole world that we would not continue like this. The PDP, I've repeatedly been saying, the PDP must be born again in order to attract and win the hearts of the people. And so those of us who are saying, we are sorry we were given an opportunity by Nigerians and we squandered the goodwill, but we regret, we have purged ourselves, and we are saying never again will we go that path. So while we are trying to win the confidence of Nigerians by apologizing to them for what we did wrong and assuring them that we are now born-again people, some people want us to remain doing things as we used to do before. Imposition must continue, impunity must continue, and some of us are saying no on our dead bodies. And this is what led to what it is. Now, when the Port Harcourt Convention collapsed, and then there was now this agreement between those who actually imposed or who brought Ali Sharif to be chairman of the National Party. They had their own disagreement, and they appointed, the same people now appointed a caretaker committee of McCarthy and others. Now, it may be interesting to know that McCarthy and many others, Ben Obi, McCarthy, Honorable Ningi, they were all members of the concerned PDP stakeholders who were opposed to also the imposition. And I think as an extension of olive branch to us, they decided to appoint some of our members as members of the caretaker committee. And that's why all of us again said, okay, fine. Since they have appointed our members as caretaker committee members, let us key into that. It's going to be a temporary situation. These people are going to organize a proper convention where people are going to be transparently elected as leaders of the party. So that's what we are looking forward to when indeed the matter now, when here we are by court, by going to court. And when the court matters of litigation came into it, now once something is in court, one would say that things are getting out of hand. And this court problem continued, conflicting judgments from courts of equal jurisdiction, and which eventually the appeal court now lumped all this together and decided to say, okay, they are going to give even in the appeal court, there are two cases. One appeal court in Abuja, another one in Port Harcourt. But the Abuja one said they will have to wait for the Port Harcourt appeal court to make their pronouncement, and they have done their own. I don't know now whether the Abuja appeal court is still going to say something or they are going to stand on what the Port Harcourt has done, since they are all courts of equal jurisdiction. So I think the only thing now is to go to the Supreme Court. But I want to say here, loud and clear, I am a very, very small believer in legal, in getting legal solution for political problems. I believe that the best solution to a political problem is a political solution. I have never believed that the courts can actually resolve our problems at all. And that is why I have been working for the past 6 months or so with some others to find a political solution to our problems. And I still believe very strongly that the only way out, the best option forward is for us to find a political solution. What is happening in the PDP is not unusual. it's a normal political, it happens every time, everywhere, in all political parties, to agree to disagree to agree. But you must always be prepared to agree at a certain point in time. Because you cannot just say never, never, like some people are saying. It's not, there's no way. It's not how you as a person feel that you cannot say never because the party is not under your control. Right. We are members of the party, you are a member of the party, I am a member of the party. If you say never and I say ever, so what happens? So you can always leave room for the possibility of the majority of the members taking a decision.
So what political solution are you preferring as an elder of the party?
As far as I'm concerned, I've been on, I and others, or others and I, we've been working on this for quite some time, and we are still believing that it is not out of place for the McCarthy group and the Sharif group to come together as members of the same family. Family members have family problems at times, but they sit as a family again and resolve their differences. Every political party must have an internal conflict resolution mechanism. And the PDP has a lot of people that have the capacity to actually bring the family back together. And we are working on that. But I don't want to say at this point in time that so passed because it's like a kind of a strategy because it's something we're trying, it's a delicate balance, which I do not want to really care. But I want to assure you that the political solution is still on. And I hope and pray that we'll be able to reach a solution before going to...
You were the Jabode meeting convened by the sheriff.
Yes.
In what capacity?
I was there in my capacity as the deputy chairman of the standing committee of the PDP Reconciliation Committee. The Reconciliation Committee is a standing committee. So it's not an ad hoc committee. And it's led by Governor Sereke Dixon, who had too much on his hands to go. So I went there as a member, as a deputy chairman of the Reconciliation Committee of the PDP.
Right. But really, why is it difficult for the PDP to reconcile with its agreed members?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. That it's difficult, but it's not impossible. The efforts are on, and many people were waiting for the court to make the pronouncement first. While some of us have never believed in the court's solution, because even if we go to Supreme Court and they say it is Sharif or McCarthy, that does not solve the problem, because somebody will still be angry. But if we are going to have an opportunity to reconcile the two, we will embrace each other and forgive each other, and we'll start a new journey of unity and love.
Well, how do you then respond to allegations by observers that Ali Modu Sharif is a mole planted by the APC in that party?
You see, this I will not buy that. You know why? Ali Modu Sharif was not brought by APC. Ali Modu Sharif did not sought to be chairman of PDP. It is Governors Wike and Governors Fayoshe that brought Ali Modu Sharif to us. And these people are prominent members of the PDP, governors of the PDP. So if you say he is a mole brought in by APC, is Wike APC, is Fayoshe APC, they are not. But definitely the APC being an opposition party, being the party in government, if they see a very strong opposition like the PDP, which is like government waiting if they can get their acts together, they would like to sort of take advantage of the crack in the wall to widen the gap, if possible. And of course, if you are in their position, you will do the same thing.
Okay, if you're just joining us, our guest is Senator Ibrahim Mantu. We're looking at the PDP crisis. When we come back, we have more issues to discuss. It's Rumbles on Galaxy TV. Stay with us.
The PDP must be born again in order to attract and win the hearts of the people. We are sorry we were given an opportunity by Nigerians and we squandered the goodwill. But we regret, we have touched ourselves, and we are saying never again will we go that path. That we are now born again people. Some people want us to remain doing things as we used to do before. Imposition must continue, impunity must continue. And some of us are saying no on our dead bodies. they tell us that they have recovered so trillions, and then when they come to give us the report of what they have, they say they have 700 something billion. So where are the trillions? If it is true that all these allegations they are making, where is the money? We shouldn't be borrowing money.
Would that be considered an achievement?
Yes, of course, communication. What is more important than communication? And it's an achievement. My friend, are you telling me that now that you can sit here in the comfort of your house or go to your village and you can talk?
You're welcome back. Our guest is still Senator Ibrahim Mantu, former Deputy Senate President. He's our guest on today's edition of Rumbles. Sir, in one of your interviews, you said the PDP would have governed for 60 years, as projected by its leaders at that time, had the party remained resolute with the philosophy, vision, and mission of its founders.
Yes.
Yes. You traced the problem back to 2003. Were there also foundational problems?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I am not aware of any foundational problems because, you see, you must remember that the PDP was founded on a very fantastic, in fact, on a dream of having the best for this nation. Before the PDP was formed, all our political parties were regionally based. In the First Republic, the NPC was northern based. The Action Group was western based. The NCNC was eastern based. In the Second Republic, the UPN was western based. The MPP was eastern based. And the MPN was northern based. Although the MPN was able to capture rivers and cross river then. That was what gave it some semblance of a national outlook. But the first time in the history of Nigeria that we had a party that can be said truly national in spirit and every act was when the PDP was established in 1999. This was the only time we had a political party that was popular in the East, popular in the South, popular in the North, and again without any regional sentiments. Even though in 1999 the West was AD, but the rest of the country we had PDP in majority everywhere. By 2003, the West also embraced PDP. So we had a party for the first time that was very much in control of the West, very much in control of the East, very much in control of the South, and very much in control of the North. Now, this did not happen as an accident. When Buhari took over power in 1984 and sent prominent politicians of all the parties to prison, the so-called progressives that time and the conservatives represented by MPN and the progressives represented by the other parties, UPN and Co., found themselves now in Kirikiri. It is then they realized that there were two parties then in Nigeria, the military and the political class, irrespective of their political differences. And they now said, if ever we get out of this prison, we are not going to allow ourselves to be used by the military to knock our heads in order to always give people reason for intervening into the politics of this country. Because the military always, take advantage of the rancors and the bitterness that used to be exhibited by politicians. And then they will now say, okay, they are coming in to put things in order. And so this PDP was the outcome of the decision and resolutions that these our political leaders resolved while they were in prison. That if we come out again, we're not going to allow ourselves to be used by the military. We will give birth to a political party that's going to be strong enough and formidable enough to be able to resist any military intervention and so on and so forth. And so that is why the PDP was born. We can see clearly that the foundation of the PDP was nationalistic, was patriotic, and so on and so on. And it was actually to make sure that democracy is entrenched and becomes a culture in doing things so that we no longer give opportunity for the military to intervene in the governance of this nation. That was it. So, the foundation was fantastic. If we had continued with the objectives of the founding fathers of the PDP, this country would have been far, far ahead of where it is today in terms of entrenching democratic practice and principles. Democracy would have been like it is being practiced in advanced democracies. Our economy also would have perhaps grown much, much faster than it is, and we would have been very close to where the advanced economies are, and so on and so forth. So the departure from these fundamental principles of the founding fathers by, jettisoning democratic practice, by not respecting internal party democracy, by imposition, by impunity. This is how we departed from the path of righteousness and justice to where we are today.
Well, a lot of people are disappointed with the PDP based on this internal issues confronting it, as it was expected that the party will be a viable opposition to the ruling party. But that hasn't been the case. Now, how healthy is it where you have a democracy without viable opposition?
Well, in the first place, those who are supporting the PDP are right, but they must give the PDP a chance. We are just 1.5 years into this government now, and I believe that in the next few months we should be able to resolve our differences and get our acts together and put our house in order and begin to play the role we are supposed to play as a viable opposition. We have the capacity to provide a very, very viable and active opposition. We have the capacity to actually become, in fact, the next government, because even as I'm talking to you now, the truth is that today in Nigeria, there are more members of the PDP than APC have, than APC's membership.
Some have crossed to the APC?
Well, some, prominent names perhaps, but at the grassroots level, the PDP is still as viable as ever. Many people don't even know that APC exists. There are some wards today in this country that have never heard of APC apart from the tablets they take for medicine when they are sick. I'm telling you. But PDP is in every nook and cranny of this country. And the problem is happening at the top here, with the leadership here. It's not at the grassroots. Last week I was at Ijebu, Igbo, and when I saw the sea of heads of people, some of them were asking me, please, when you go back, please greet Solomon Lar. They don't even know that Solomon Lar is dead. Some of them are still thinking that Solomon Lar is still national chairman. They don't even know there have been so many changes. But some old men came to me and said, I understand you are from Plateau. And I said, yes. So please, when you go back, greet Chief Solomon Lar, our chairman. I said, okay. I didn't tell them anything. So that is the extent of where PDP has actually gone down, and people still believe in PDP. They are not even aware that there are crises, or there's crisis at the national level, to the extent that it's checking the support of the party. The party's support is very, very much there, as strong as ever. Now, I believe, again, another thing I would like to emphasize when you talk about viable opposition, I am a believer in viable opposition. Even if we are in government, I would not want a weak opposition, because a viable opposition actually keeps you on your toes, and it also helps you. Objective criticism helps anybody who is in government to rule well. So, in a democracy, we need a viable opposition so that when the people see you drilling, they have an option to vote in the other party. And that's why in most parts of the world, there are two main parties, major parties, and power continues to alternate between these two. When these people are drilling, they will say, okay, we vote you out. That's why we are insisting that we must practice democracy as it is being practiced in advanced countries. That's why we are insisting that we should say goodbye to all malpractices that mar our elections and give us a bad name. We must be born again. We must practice politics as a religion, with sincerity, with honesty of purpose. And we should not see, you see, many people are just coming to politics because they see it as an enterprise. Those of us who believe that we are in politics because it was a calling for us to come and serve our people, to make their lives better, and so on and so forth, we weep, our heart bleed when we see people coming in and to us. Somebody came to me and said, look, Senator Mantu, I want to be the governor of our state in the next dispensation. I have come to get your blessing. And this is a man who has never been in politics. But because he has made money from somewhere, the next thing now is to become a governor in order to become richer. So today there are many politicians who are in politics only because they see it as the quickest means and way of making money. Politics has become an enterprise. Let me go and spend 1 billion to make 10 billion. But that shouldn't be the case. A politician that is a politician should see his service to the people as a unique opportunity given to him by God to selflessly serve humanity. He must be driven by some kind of motive to making life better for the downtrodden people. He must be driven by some idea that he has in his head that he thinks if he is in that position, he will be able to make life better for others. This is a service and shouldn't be seen as a trading venture.
Well, a lot of people look at the 16 years in which the PDP was in government in this country, and observers say that the party didn't do too well. What, in your own opinion, did the PDP do right or do wrong?
Let me tell you, as far as I'm concerned, the PDP did a lot of things right. The PDP did well in the last 16 years. It is very, very unfortunate when I hear people saying that the PDP did not perform. First and foremost, when Obasanjo took over power in 1999, our oil was selling for $8. And there was nobody who could open letter of credit from Nigeria. Because as of that time, our economy was in tatters. Nigeria was like a pariah nation. Nobody was dealing with us. Nobody wanted to come to Nigeria. Nobody wanted to hear about Nigeria. People had to open back-to-back letter of credit with some Indians in London before they could actually bring in anything. But after about 1 year, Obasanjo's globetrotting paid off. Confidence was restored. People started doing business with Nigeria. Our economy again was improving, and so on and so forth. Everything was actually becoming better and better, and till Nigeria now became an investor's destination. Today, you can speak from any village in Nigeria, anywhere, communicate with everybody because of GSM.
Would that be considered an achievement?
Yes, of course, communication, what is more important than communication? And it's an achievement, 100%. My friend, I remember when I was living in Lagos, I will go to Falomo, Nitel, by 4 a.m. because I will talk to a friend of mine in London. And I'll go there by 4 a.m. and if I'm lucky by 6 a.m., I get him and say hallelujah. I mean, that was the situation. Are you telling me that now that you can sit here in the comfort of your house or go to your village and you can talk to any part of the world and you say that's not achievement? What are you talking about? What achievement can be better than efficient communication and effective communication? My friend, that's the beginning of anything. That you can communicate effectively and efficiently. Instead of flying to London, you can now talk. What are you telling me? In those days, if I want something, I can send a text, I can send an email to anywhere. But in those days, you have to now get into your car, go to your village, there are many things that are happening. Even not for this telephone that we're having, I do not know what our road situation would have been. They were hold up, but have been worse than ever. Because now, instead of traveling to one point to the other, you can talk on phone. So I don't want to sit here and catalog the advantages of effective and efficient communication, because you should know that better than me. And you think that's not an achievement? That's a great achievement. That's not the issue alone. This country was actually, recently, we became the greatest economy in the whole of Africa. When you know that South Africa, Egypt, and Co. were far, far ahead of us. Before this government, before the PDP government left, Nigeria became the greatest economy in Africa. It was not just a fallacy. These are facts. I can go on and on. I can spend the whole day and night cataloging advantages. Even this, the corruption that we're talking about. Who established AFCC and ICPC? It's the PDP that we are accusing of being a corrupt administration.
Well, that body was seen as being used to fight the enemies of the government.
Just as it's being used today, maybe. Because today, the only people in the EFCC cells are the PDP. But their counterparts who are in the APC are working freely. It's even worse than it has ever been. I cannot remember anybody being detained during Jonathan Goodluck's time, either a journalist or anybody in this country, because he is opposed to the president's government or anything. No, if you can tell me.
Was there not a lack of will on the part of that government to fight corruption?
No, it was respect for rule of law.
Given the recent revelations we're getting.
The revelations we're getting now, they tell us that they have recovered so trillions, and then when they come to give us the report of what they have, they say they have 700 and something billion. So where are the trillions? If it is true that all these allegations they are making, where is the money? We shouldn't be borrowing money. We shouldn't be borrowing money at all. If all these figures they are talking about are truly recovered from the people, we shouldn't be borrowing money.
Are you saying we're getting half truth or no truth at all?
Well, I don't know, but you should be in a better position because you are a journalist.
You are the politician.
You are supposed to be to tell us what is happening. I'm supposed to listen to you because that's your job. As a politician, I'm supposed to give you good governance. And if I'm in a position to do so. So the issue is, you are in a position to analyze the situation. Rule of law was the fundamental thing that PDP never played with, particularly during Eradua Jonathan's time. Rule of law was fundamental, and they never deviated from that. And that is very, very important. If you are in a country that there is no respect for rule of law, they run away from that country as quickly as we can, because you cannot have your rights defended. Today, the PDP is portrayed or perceived or to be a corrupt, their time was supposed to be a corrupt government. But you yourself know today that the corruption is in the increase. And this government has done nothing to even improve upon what the PDP did. PDP established ICPC, PDP established EFCC.
So the recent revelations about those who have been found to have a lot of foreign exchange in their accounts, a lot of foreign exchange at home. Are these stories made up? They're not.
What I'm saying is this: I'm not defending anybody who must have corruptly enriched himself. But what I am saying is that this corruption is a cancer, is a kind of what will I say, an epidemic that is not only affecting one side. It's an epidemic that has affected the entire society. So all I'm saying is that if you put aside, you should put aside on the society and don't be selective. If you are picking governors who are governors in PDP, there are also governors in PDP who are now in APC. So because you have now left, if you say somebody is corrupt and you have arrested him today, and he now cross-carpets to APC, he is no longer corrupt because he has been baptized. Is that what you are saying? That's what you are saying. What I'm saying is that there are people who were governors, they were MPN, they were PDP people. But they are now in the APC. And the governors of the PDP did not do anything that the APC governors did not do. And we are also aware that the APC governors have cases with the EFCC, but they are still doing their jobs. They are there. Some of them are given some assignments in the federal government, and they are there, and nobody is actually talking about it. Anytime you apply fighting any corruption selectively, you will not succeed. Because you must fight corruption in all its ramifications without fear or favor. It is when you do that that people will fear. But nobody is afraid now. Initially, people were thinking that it's going to be a kind of crusade that's going to cover everywhere. But today, nobody cares. Because they now see clearly that it is not actually faithfully and being implemented with the fear of God. And once you leave God out of everything, then you are on your own.
But what do you want this government to do in terms of the fight against corruption?
I support the fight against corruption in its totality, but it should not be selectively applied. Two, the government must, without fear or favor, deal with anybody who is actually found to be guilty. And you don't sort of judge again people on the pages of newspaper. No. Everybody should be assumed to be innocent until proven to be otherwise.
Well, let me ask you to look at the last 4 years of the PDP. Well, PDP was a power. That was when President Jonathan was there. He came in with a lot of goodwill, so much goodwill from Nigerians. Looking at the former President Goodluck Jonathan's years as president of this country, where would you say he got it wrong, having come in at the beginning with so much goodwill from Nigerians?
Well, I believe that where he got it wrong was when, after completing his constitutionally required time, because as vice president of the country at that time, when his principal died, he was naturally the rightful person to step into his shoes as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But since we believe in zoning as a cardinal principle in the PDP, that position was actually for the North. But because Yaradua died, and by provision of our Constitution, the North cannot bring his replacement before the expiration of their tenure. So naturally, the unexpired period of Yaradua was the entitlement of President Goodluck to finish. Now, if I were him, I would have definitely said, okay, North, bring somebody to finish your 4 years, outstanding 4 years. If he had done that, I can tell you frankly that after the Northern people must have finished their second term, the well-meaning people in this country would have gone to him to beg him to say, okay, it is the time of the South now. You who voluntarily left in respect for zoning, it's your turn, come and take it. He would have taken it on a platter of gold. But he made the mistake of continuing when he shouldn't have. But again, when he even was given the opportunity to continue, and without much, resentment from people, haven't finished the first 4 years. I mean, the second 4 years. I mean, the first 4 years, his own 4 years. One would have said, he would have actually said goodbye. Two things are there. The Constitution says you can only be a president for 2 terms of 4 years maximum. And if he had now been elected again, he would have been president for almost 10 years, because 4 years of his own, another 4 years of his own, and the 2 years that he inherited from Yaradua. And that was also a bone of contention. Some people went to court. The matter was at the Supreme Court, I think, when the elections took place. So I think the second insisted on second coming was the worst one. He should have actually stepped down even after the completion of the Yar'Adua's 2 years. But he didn't. But he was lucky that people say, okay, go ahead. And after finishing 4 years again, he was tempted again to continue. That, I think, was the greatest mistake he made.
So are you saying the North worked against him?
Well, naturally, yes. The North worked against him because they felt that they were shortchanged. And they had to work against him. But the most important thing is, to me, be that as it may, I still cannot say that because he did that, then he should be crucified. No. President Goodluck Jonathan did something that I will live to respect him forever and ever. The mere fact that he picked up his phone to congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari, even before the official declaration of the results of that election, is responsible for the peace we are enjoying today in Nigeria. If he didn't do that, we don't know where this country would have been. So whatever his sins are, what he did last, to me, has actually cleared him of every shortcoming. Because one thing you will give to Jonathan, you must give it to him, to President Jonathan, good luck, is the fact that he was a respecter of rule of law, number one. And he was somebody who did not actually encourage winning election through malpractice or violence, because he said it with his own lips, that his ambition was not worth anybody's blood. That is a fantastic statement from an elder statesman, from a great leader. That is a great statement from a great leader. His ambition was not worth anybody's blood, which means he was telling people, don't kill on my behalf because you want to make me president. Don't do anything, don't be violent because you want to make me president. My ambition is not worth anybody's blood, so please don't. That is a great statement from a leader. But above all again, before the result was declared, he now picked his phone and congratulated Muhammadu Buhari. And that is the reason why we are enjoying peace today in Nigeria.
Let me ask you to still look at the PDP years and probably the Jonathan years as a focus. What do you think he could have done differently as president?
Well, I think Jonathan is one of the, just like his name implies, he's extremely the luckiest person I've ever seen in the world. As his name, Good Luck. Good Luck has followed him all his life. Because I think, I've never seen somebody in this country that is as lucky as him. So maybe Obasanjo is another lucky person. But I'm emphasizing the element of luck in Good Luck because I think he was not, politically matured when he took over the presidency of this nation. He did not understand the country very well. So he lacked the necessary experience to adequately rule Nigeria and take it to the heights that people were expecting him to take the country to. In other words, inexperience was part of it. So he did not actually, again, those who surrounded him did not allow him to use the best hands that were available in the PDP. And so he was actually using amateurs as his advisors, or maybe he got good advisors, but maybe he didn't know how to implement what they were telling him to implement. Because what we see in terms of implementation is what we can use to assess the guy who is at the saddle, who is on the seat, So I can say he displayed a lot of inexperience and incapacity in his governance style, and that is why things went berserk. He was not in charge as such.
But as a member of that party, what were you telling him about it?
Well, because I had no opportunity. I was a member of the Board of Trustees. I was also even the chairman of the Good Luck Elders Council. But we never, apart from the day we were inaugurated, never once did Good Luck sit with me as a chairman of the Good Luck Elders Council.
Did you request for a meeting and you didn't get it?
I didn't appoint myself. He gathered all these very seasoned politicians together and they inaugurated us and they elected me as their chairman, but never, even once did we sit with him to discuss anything. I don't have to. He gave me a job, so you should find out how the job was going. We did our best, but we need to give him back the report. So I shouldn't go begging. I promised myself since 2007 when I left office, I promised myself I'm not going to be a beggar to anybody. I'm not going to go to anybody to kneel down begging for anything, because I believe that life is all about personal contentment. Because if you are not contented, you can, even if you have the whole of Abuja, you'll want a carrot to be added. If the add cannot, you want carrot to be added. So you must have a point of contentment in your life. You must respect yourself. I have a point of contentment because ambition has no limit, right? So I was that. And I was a member of BOT. We used to meet at the BOT meetings and the rest of them. But there was nothing that we did not say at the BOT meetings. But whatever you say there, they will say noted, and they will go and implement, but they will not. So when you are trying to assist somebody at no cost, and he's not taking your advice, will you continue to waste your energy and time telling him things that he's not going to use them? Because it doesn't. You don't just go and talk, give an advice. You read, you use your experience, you task your brain before you go and talk before you give advice at a meeting to a president. And if you, after tasking your brain, making consultations, and you think that when you go and say this thing, you will see it being implemented, and it is said noted, and it's not implemented, what will you do? Will you continue to burn your candle in the night, planning for them? So I was, since 2007, not even given the position of a messenger. But I didn't care about that because I thank God for what He has done in my life. Right? I'm quite happy with myself. I was not looking for any appointment. And I did not complain. I did not at all complain to anybody because I was quite happy to be an active member of the PDP and to contribute my quota for the good of the PDP. But I wasn't in a position to force implementation of the good things or the advices that were given.
Let me ask you for your reaction to the school of thought that believes that a lot of the challenges facing Nigeria today can be traced down to leadership. How do you respond to this?
I agree totally because the truth is that God loves this country tremendously. I have always said Nigeria, sometimes I say, is God a Nigerian? Because if you look at it, we have been endowed with abundant natural resources. We have been endowed with qualitative human resources. The harnessment of these two should make any country to follow with milk and honey. Nigeria should follow with milk and honey. We don't have any business with poverty. But the mismanagement of all these God-given resources by our leadership is responsible for the poverty that we are going through today in this country. And again, I know that there's corruption everywhere in the world. But our own brand of corruption is unique. There's element of greed in our corruption. We are greedily corrupt. I don't know anywhere in the world where somebody will take his pen and swindle 1 billion naira. Here in Nigeria, people, if they have the opportunity, will swindle trillions. You ask yourself, how long will one live on this earth that you need that kind of money? Sometimes you ask me to say insecurity. And I say insecurity, most of these people, they are in their 50s, 60s. Now, if you are going to live, if you are in your 60, and let us assume you are going to live for 100 years, how much money do you need for the rest of your 40 years to live on? So still enough money to cover to the 40 years. But you are still something that even if you are going to live for 2,000 years, you can't finish it. That is greed, condemnable greed. And that is that's the problem here. Leadership and the element of greed that has actually taken control of the hearts of our leaders are responsible. Today, there are individuals in Nigeria, I believe, who are having billions of dollars out there. Some of these monies are here, that they are kept in coded accounts. And if, God forbid, the man sleeps and dies in his sleep, he will leave his family in perpetual poverty. and yet he has billions out there which the white people will use to improve their economy. So we are in their need of responsible and responsive leadership, of leadership that will see it as a unique opportunity given to them by God to serve their fellow human beings. Because when you are elected a president or a governor or a senator or a member of House or assembly even by your people, the people are now telling you that we have now given you the mandate to think for us, to see for us, to speak for us, and to hear for us. What a great responsibility. And you go there and you don't speak for them, you don't see for them, you don't hear for them, you only use that opportunity to line up your pockets with all the wealth that can come your way. You use that opportunity to go to the village and build a house that nobody has its type in the place. You use that opportunity to take all the money that you can take and keep there. So, oh, I want security. You go to South Africa, go to Britain, go to America, go to Switzerland, go to Germany, go to France and keep your money there. The question is, some of these people that have, many of my friends, that when we used to go out, they would say, oh, I have a place, let's go to Miami, I have a house. And they may not go to Miami in a whole year, and yet they have bought a house worth millions of dollars in Miami. And you ask yourself, if you bring this money back into our country and put it in the economy, it will create employment opportunity for some people, because there are some people that have a lot of ideas, but they don't have the money to translate those ideas into industries or anything like that. There are many, many people who are highly talented, but they don't have the money to translate their talents into viable economic activities. So we are looking for those who will now see leadership as a calling, who will now see it as an opportunity to use their God-given talent to improve the life generally of the average Nigerian. And they must do that with the full sense of responsibility that a God that has picked you out of millions to give you that position, when you die, you go to him, he will ask you, I made you the governor of Plateau State. I made you the president of Nigeria. I made you this and that and that and that. How did you govern the people? Did you govern the people with the fear of God? If the answer is no, you know where you're going to go.